Going beyond the headlines. Asking the questions you want answered. Exploring government policies and how they impact you. We are delving deeper.
Good evening and welcome to Delving Deeper. I'm your host, Kimberly D'Souza. Joining us this evening is the Chief Executive Officer of the National Entrepreneurship Development Company Limited, Nedco, Mr. Calvin Maurice. Mr. Maurice, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, Kimberly. Thank you for having me.
Of course, it's a pleasure. Now, Nedco, as we know, was established to provide assistance to small and micro enterprises. How is the agency contributing to the development and success of the sector?
I will answer that in two parts, pre-COVID and post-COVID,
Right.
because that's a significant period. In 2002, Nedco would have been, the cabinet agreed in terms of starting up this company to support the entrepreneurial development for persons who are not able to do that on their own, in terms of the unbankable, the persons who are impoverished state and wish to open a business, to provide them with that opportunity through this agency to develop a business. So Nedco, in that first instance, has the responsibility to provide microfinancing. And microfinancing is different from the normal type of financing you have in the other institutions. Microfinancing will provide small loans, developmental loans, provide training and development, provide mentorship. So it's like hand-holding to ensure there's a measure of sustainability for the entrepreneur.
Right.
So that's very important. That's very important to understand the difference. So Nedco has been doing that over the years. Over the years, we impacted about 20,000 entrepreneurs. 20,000 entrepreneurs. Now, post-COVID, that is a different era, and Nedco had to pivot to the requirement of supporting entrepreneurs in a different mindset. And it was not only the particular sector that was unbankable, women, but we had to now support persons and all the businesses that would have been impacted by COVID. So, well known, Nedco was given the responsibility to do the entrepreneurial grant. We have disbursed over $34 million, $30.4 million up to this point. And we have an additional $19 million that we will be distributing or disbursing to applicants that we still have. So even that period, post-COVID, we provided the moratorium to our clients who were unable to pay loans at that time. We provided training, free training, the webinars in terms of pivoting in terms of post-COVID era, in terms of online arrangements, how they can do their businesses online. And those are the type of initiatives Nedco took in order to secure and sustain businesses, to hold their hand, to reassure them, hey, this will pass too. So the role of Nedco essentially is to ensure the sustainability of businesses.
Now, Mr. Maurice, how much can somebody access at any given point in time? And is it different when we look at pre-pandemic and post-pandemic?
No, it's same. The maximum any borrower can apply for is going to be 500,000. First-time borrower, 250,000. And then it's subjected to the business plan. We encourage borrowers to start small. They come in, I want $500,000. Whether the project requires that or not, they want $500,000. And it's also part of the nurturing in terms of microfinancing to encourage to start in small amounts, and we train you and we develop you and we provide you with type of support. So therefore the business will be sustainable and one will be able to repay the loan. That's very, very important. We should talk about that at some point.
Yeah. So business plan, right? So I have an idea, right? I come to Nedco and I say, Mr. Maurice, or whoever is the person who's dealing with me, this is my business plan. This is what I'm thinking of doing. Because remember that it's the unbankable who is really coming to the Nedco, right?
Correct.
Walk us through the process of applying for that loan and when we eventually receive the financial assistance.
Good. So, and that's the frustration of some of our clients because they say we have to go through so much, you have to ask us so much in terms to get a loan, But one has to remember it's a business loan and you must prove that the business has the capacity to earn and repay that loan. And that's the basis of it. Unlike a personal loan where you will be working and the bankers will ask you for a job letter or proof of employment. So you're coming in, you're going to start a business. First, you want to know what type of business, how long this business has been operating. And even though it has not been operating for a significant time, let us see your business plan. Let us see how you intend to manage this business. What will be your profits? And we go through step by step what type of training. Because if you're saying, okay, I want to be a makeup artist. Okay, what's the training as a makeup artist? All right, because that's very important.
Self-trained, self-taught.
Right? Well, you'll have to prove yourself as well.
Of course.
You must have a portfolio and all that. There's nothing wrong being self-taught. Better, I will believe, if you're certified, but there's nothing wrong with being self-taught. And having gone through that process to see the business approach, to see the sustainability of the business once started, or if it's a continued business, to see that sustainability and the profitability of the business, to see the risk, and the officer is not, really against the applicant, because some applicants in real life, they really feel that this officer do not want to give me this money. I just go other places and I just get it quicker. I just go by so credit union and that credit union, and I will get it without ease in one day. But remember, you have a savings in the credit union, and the credit union is going to give you that loan based on shares. What are you, bringing in? So, and the other thing about it is the collateral required to get that loan, because that's one of the areas of examination as well. What type of collateral are you giving for this loan? And Nedco does not have a requirement for 100% collateral, right? 65% collateral. Sometimes you can use your vehicle. We can use certain other form of security that one may wish to offer. Some preferable more than others. Okay, so it makes it very easy for an entrepreneur who has nothing to start a business through Nedco.
Now, Mr. Maurice, at any point in time, does Nedco check in with the business to see the profitability, see if they are going through any challenges, any things like that?
Of course.
Yeah.
So as soon as you sign on to Nedco, get a loan from Nedco, or even not getting a loan from Nedco, there is training, there is business advisory, there is mentorship. So someone could come into Nedco and say, all I need is some business advisory at a minimal cost. I think it's $100, which is really nothing. And we advise them in terms of their business. Even if they need to get support in developing a business plan, we can also give them that. We can also provide mentorship, outside of actually see, you don't necessarily have to get a loan to get those services from Nedco, But coming back to the question you asked, if someone come in, they get a loan from Nedco, then we can support them, we can follow them. If the loan, if for example, for one reason they miss a payment, one payment, immediately our business advisory unit will get into contact with them. Let me see what you're doing, what type of support you need, and provide them as long as 6 months to give them that holding hand to get their business back online.
Now, you would have mentioned missing one payment, but what about the entrepreneurs who miss all the payments, or the ones who don't want to repay as they should?
Well, that's the other side of Nedco in terms of risk management and recovery. One of the processes in terms, before a person gets a loan, it goes to the credit risk department and they will review the entire loan. And as a matter of fact, the credit risk department has the responsibility to approve the loan, not the officer at the branch. They have the responsibility to approve the loan. And they will take in consideration all the risk in giving that loan. How old, for example, if they provide a vehicle, how old is this vehicle? Is it insured? In terms of, for example, let's take one example. If the client provides a air-conditioned unit as security, they would have to now mitigate. If this is a 3-year loan and they are taking $10,000 on this air-conditioned unit, by the time, let's say after 2 years, would we be able, if this person stops paying on their loan, would we be able to get back our money? Okay, so they do all those finer analysis in terms of the security, if it's worthy, if they need more with it, and then they will get back whether it's approved or whether there is need for more information or whether there is need for even more collateral, you know. But at the end of the day, when match for match, Nedco provides an easier pathway in terms of getting a business loan. And I continue to say a business loan is different from a personal loan. And as long as clients come in and have the capacity to explain and show where that business can make that kind of return and pay back a loan, then we're in a safe place.
Oh. Have there been situations where Nedco had to seize collateral because of non-payment?
Yes. So let's talk about the recoveries department. And you would notice right now we have published a number of names of persons who did not pay Nedco. And I'm talking about clients from 2010, 2015. Though we pursue them, they have not paid Nedco. We published their names, and we're going to take every step in terms of, as any other financial institution, to recover our funds. And that's one of the things we explain to them as well. Yes, we are Nedco. Yes, we are government. And that's a strong, but that's also a weak point in that persons come to us understanding that this is a state agency. And they believe if we don't pay this loan, well, no big thing, no sweat. That's government, you know. They'll settle that. No. If I have to say anything in this interview, I will say, if that's your approach, don't come to Nedco, because you have to be good on your loan. You have to repay your loan.
And if we were to put a figure on the amount owed, can you give us an estimation of what that figure might be?
So before I give you an estimation of what that figure might be, I have to give you context.
Yeah.
And we have to go back in the history of Nedco with the fervent desire to help the unbankable. And in the initial days, Nedco gave loans to these persons because that's our mandate, with the hope, of course, with whatever systems in place to recover, but not as strong. And there was a high level of delinquency, and a number of persons did not repay Nedco. And I'm talking about 2002, you find there was an increase, 2008, 2010, that coming forward, which amounted to over $66 million. 2018, you recall that Nedco, there was a rebranding of Nedco, a whole restructuring of Nedco. Coming forward with that, particularly with the new board at Nedco, policies, A number of policies were developed. A credit risk, though there was credit risk in the system, there was not a credit risk department. So therefore, a credit risk department was opened and we followed through in terms of taking greater risk measures to protect the organization from such delinquent loans and to pursue in a very aggressive way those loans that we had to recover on. So over the last few years, particularly coming forward, 2018, 2019, you find that there has been a significant decrease in regards to that debt or indebtedness to Nedco.
So it's below the 66 million that we would have, okay.
Much more. All financial institutions carry some level of risk on persons who will default. I'm not saying that we are not. We are not one of them. No, we are, but significantly different from where we started.
Yeah. Now, Mr. Maurice, you mentioned equity. So, for example, I have a business. I have absolutely no funds. I may not have the collateral. Can I still come with just my business plan and say, listen, this is what I have planned. This is where I see the company going in 5 years? Or do I need to have some form of collateral, at least to access that first time $250,000?
Yes, you need to have,
you need collateral.
You need some form of collateral. Yeah. Now, Nedco is, and I probably wouldn't mention it here when I come back next time on the program.
I like that. That's a plug. I hear it, Mr. Maurice.
but Nedco is in our strategic planning process. And one of the things we'll be looking at is how can you support the young without collateral, without credit history? What kind of support would you need to give to the young, 20 years, 25 years, for them to start their businesses? And so we are looking at a mechanism that may look at a guarantee arrangement, that may look at different forms of supporting. As I said, when I come next time, I will talk more about that. But certainly, it would give the opportunity to those persons, exactly who you're talking about, without collateral, really want to start a business, and have a good business idea. For example, you graduate, engineering student or from culinary school, have a very good idea, but they do not have that starter, So yes, we are looking at that in terms of our strategy moving forward. Yeah. The other thing that we will be looking at, particularly for the young entrepreneurs as well, is how we can make the ease of doing business in terms of the bureaucracy, treating with that. I remember someone telling me they were at one of the attorney, Ministry of Legal Affairs, and this person was in line for a little while, just to do a transaction to register their business or to, do a transaction to start their business. And that person was so frustrated, and they wanted to turn back, and they found that, it was a frustrating effort. How can Nedco, and those are the different things we are looking at, what other interventions we can make in terms of ease of doing business, not only to the young entrepreneur, but to everyone else. So these are some of the services we want to really get involved with.
Now, Mr. Maurice, what are some of the significant challenges that Nedco faces?
Well, is having that balance in terms of wanting to give a loan and making sure that the client meets all the criteria in terms of giving that loan. Yeah. To ensure that the business is sustainable, because it's also our responsibility after giving that loan to ensure that the business is sustainable. Yeah. And in doing that, we also have to convince the client that we are acting for their own good in terms of engaging them for that same business advisory. So they will slip up on their loans and we'll say, we need to come in and give you business advice. And they will refuse. They'll refuse to take business advisory. And then you'll find that the loan is getting 60, 90, 120, and then Nedco would have no other choice but to engage them in a different way in terms of to recover on our loans. So one of the challenges that we have, though it has been significantly reduced, is clients willingly wanting to repay their loans and accepting Nedco's assistance when they get into trouble.
Yeah.
You know, but essentially, and what we are doing, I think one of the things that we are doing within terms of our communication and marketing and branding department is getting more information out there. And I'm very happy that I'm allowed to have this discussion with you, what we are about and how we are there to support, and we are not there to agitate. So when sometimes you look at our Facebook pages, you know, they have all sort of comments. And yes, we do look at our Facebook pages, so those who believe we don't. And, you know, people say, I don't understand why Nedco is taking so long to give me this loan. I don't understand why I could go to the bank and get this quicker, for the reasons described earlier in terms of why it's happening. So we need to do our work as well in terms of providing the information out there. And I know that there's going to be a whole campaign in terms of letting individuals know how to access a Nedco loan and what the criteria is.
Now, Mr. Maurice, on the flip side, because you have been reading the comments on Facebook, yeah?
Yes.
What are some of the issues that the entrepreneurs face?
Collateral, particularly young ones. Collateral. And hence the reason we must design in terms of our product delivery, how we face that situation and how we grow the entrepreneur from no collateral into a sustainable business. We have the Business Accelerator program, for example, where we work through organizations and we provide them with training over a period of maximum of 1 year. We provide that hand-holding, so therefore there'll be general training modules, but then there are personalized training modules because there's a gap analysis. From the time they come into the Business Accelerator program, there is a gap analysis as it relates to that particular area of business they want to get involved in. And so we hold their hand and we develop them. And at the end of the day, if they require funding, Nedco will provide them with funding to start or to continue into their business. So we have a number of persons who pass through the Business Accelerator program. We're going into our third cohort, and that is one of our signature programs that will support the entrepreneur.
Now, Mr. Maurice, you'd have mentioned that the state agency is under the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service.
Correct.
Now, with all the programs and the projects that's happening at that ministry, what role does Nedco play in all of this?
So one of the major roles we're playing in terms is training and development. So most of the projects, for example, the Homestead program and the other agricultural programs, Nedco will be providing significant training and entrepreneurial training to those participants. So that's one major role. We work closely with our line ministry in terms of developing entrepreneurs who go into them for that support.
Yes. Now, I know that during the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of the MSCs were affected. And as we would have mentioned earlier, Nedco would have provided that entrepreneurial grant. Can you say how many businesses were able to access that grant? That's one. And is it that the grant is still available even now?
Yes, the grant is, we're still disbursing. We have an extra 90 million to disburse. And over 3,000 persons, the last count, would have been able to access the grant. And we have approximately just about 2,000 applicants who are waiting to get disbursement.
Can you tell us how long or how soon that 19 million or even a portion of it will be disbursed?
We are hoping at least by the end of December, we would be completing disbursement of that. amount.
And in addition to the entrepreneurial grant, were there any other services that Nedco would have provided during the pandemic?
Of course, as I said, we gave the moratoria on our loans, so persons who had loans with Nedco weren't required to pay over a period of time. We provided training, free training, as it relates to pivoting in terms of the COVID period, whether online businesses or just giving them that support, giving them that reassurance that their businesses can be back on board.
Now, 20 years later, what is Nedco doing to make its services a bit more accessible to its clients?
First, more agile. Given the period, we need to be more agile in terms of engaging our clients because the needs change so quickly with the environment. Yeah. Two, in terms of digital arrangements, Nedco is now in the midst of a digital transformation process. We have already started the online loan application, so you can do part of the loan application online. So we have already started that. In the next year or so, we hope that we can complete an entire processing of loan online. One has to remember too, as well, that as I was so guided just recently by one of my managers when I was just talking, we need to do this online, totally online. And my manager said, remember, it's again a business loan. We need to see the entrepreneur. We need to talk to the entrepreneur. We need to engage the entrepreneur. We can't do all that online. So again, it's a difference between personal loan and business loan. So yes, we'll be very ambitious to do it online, but the engagement with the entrepreneur to explain their project and to see the passion of them in their project is a very important feature in terms of processing.
So Nedco is always going to have a hybrid approach when it comes to accessing those business loans.
It's the better approach for us now, yes.
Yeah. Why is it important to see the entrepreneur?
It's important to understand you cannot describe your business totally online, okay, in terms of typing up and filling out a form or doing what you call the 360-degree form. It's a different engagement when the entrepreneur comes in and bring in samples and bring in their portfolio and talk about their project. You actually live the project. And the officer will be able to support the project even a different way. We'll say, okay, we can support you at Query here because we do have a MOU with Query. And that's another thing. We have been doing some significant partnerships to support our entrepreneurs. So therefore, we just finished a MOU with TTBS, Trinidad and Tobago Bureau Standard, in terms of a quality program where we'll train entrepreneurs how to develop a quality product. We have finished the MOU. We've started the MOU with Query, where we can support product development with these entrepreneurs. So therefore, we are forming strategic partnerships. So Nedco not only will give a loan or give entrepreneurial training, but could call upon our partners to provide this additional support. So it is, and particularly now, we have to understand that we have to engage that partnership arrangement, that synergy between the different state agencies and ministries to support our mandates. So ministries support us and we support them.
Now, on your website, I saw that there are some webinars and training sessions that's scheduled to begin, I believe, on the 11th. Can you share some more info on that?
Well, I will say generally, all our webinars and training has to deal with particular aspects of business development. So you'll have, for example, cash flow management or writing up a contract or, different elements where persons would need that support based on our survey, based on our market research, the type of support entrepreneurs will need, we will provide that level of training. So it's well researched in terms of the type of training we provide, whether we do the survey with online survey in terms of what type of training you think you would need, or based on literature and information out there, we would develop our training program. So yes, on the 11th, yes, we're doing training, but generally it's based on the needs of the market in terms of entrepreneurs.
Yeah. And along that same vein, what other initiatives can we look forward to from Nedco, especially as we look forward to the new year?
A lot of networking events, because that's a critical area for entrepreneurs to meet other people, to set up a system where they can see and share their products. We also will really want to engage more entrepreneurs going out to communities and not necessarily having them come to us alone, but going out in the communities and marketing and advising persons of the products. One the ideal thing though as well is having persons in the communities where they can just do up a Nedco loan in the communities, and that's the difference with microfinancing and financing. Again, it's a process where we have to go out to them.
Yeah.
All right. And when you look at the model all over the world, Grameen banking and all that, we have to go out to the entrepreneurs.
Now, I know Nedco would have recently held its National Entrepreneurship Awards. Congratulations on that. I did see some of the footage.
Yes.
What are some of the benefits coming out of this initiative?
That was really electric, I must say. Even entrepreneurs, so the entrepreneurs who won awards, they were ecstatic. They never thought that they would be able to win an entrepreneurial award, and it brought new energy, really. Even those who weren't successful indicated that, listen, I'm coming back in this next year. And so we want to develop on that. So this year was our first attempt in new. And when it came up with it, everybody, we want to do this, but there was this level of anxiety. I wonder how this will go, how this will, and how it was received. And at the event itself, there was, oh yes, this is what's going to happen every year. So as a matter of fact, this week we're going to have our committee meeting to start planning for next year. And it's going to be bigger and grander in terms of what we've been offering. This year, because of now coming out of COVID, was scaled down and the approach was a bit different. But next year we hope to engage schools in a bigger way and go out and do conferences in a different way, So yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And since that was such a whopping success, what are some of the other success stories that Nedco is particularly proud of?
Well, the fact that we are able to impact on over 20,000 entrepreneurs over the years and as it continues to grow. The fact that I think there is a increased understanding of Nedco's position in terms of our responsibility to support entrepreneurship. So we have a number of ministries and agencies working with Nedco to meet their mandate. So they do their special training and they call on Nedco to come and do the entrepreneurial training. Yeah. And we have been doing that quite well, So I believe that Nedco is really fulfilling its mandate and we are going to be bigger and better. All right. And when I get back here,
the next time around, you'll be able to boast about some other things.
You'll be able to boast about some other things. But certainly I want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to share all the goals of Nedco and what has been happening.
Well, Mr. Maurice, final thoughts? Anything else before we close?
Yes. I think if you have a dream, it's to live it out. Don't wait until you're 90 or 85 to just catch, I want to do baking and I think I want to start baking. And, I always had this dream. People always say that. I always had this dream. Get up and live out your dream. Understand it's going to be a challenge, yes. But, people live out the challenges. If you look at all the successful entrepreneurs throughout the world, all over the world, they talk about the challenges. The millions and billions they make wasn't just like that. It was based on a struggle and getting over those hurdles. So what I will say, I will want to encourage entrepreneurs, young or old, to get in and build your dream. Yeah? Get in and build your dream. And Nedco is here to support.
And that's where we will end it for now. Mr. Maurice, thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of Delving Deeper.
Thank you so much again.
Join us at the same time next week for another edition of Delving Deeper. I'm your host, Kimberly D'Souza, and on behalf of our entire crew, have a good night.